So what is going on in Venezuela? You've probably seen the headlines, and it's clear that a major political shift has set off an international firestorm. But the story you're hearing in the news? Well, that might not be the full picture. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the two powerful and, frankly, conflicting narratives that are battling for the truth.
Okay, so the big event, the thing that has everyone talking, is the detention of President Nicolás Maduro. Now, publicly, this is all being framed as an issue of justice, of accountability. But right under the surface, there's a completely different story. One about incredible natural wealth and serious geopolitical strategy. And that's where things get really complicated.
So, which is it? Is this whole intervention really driven by a noble quest for justice, or is it about securing access to one of the world's most valuable collections of resources? Let's dig in, starting with the official explanation. First up, let's break down the official story. These are the reasons that have been given to the public to justify this pretty massive international intervention.
The case against the Maduro government really stands on three main pillars. First, you've got serious accusations of narco-terrorism, of facilitating huge drug shipments. Then there are the claims of systemic widespread corruption that has absolutely crippled the nation's economy. And finally, there are well-documented reports of serious human rights abuses against political opponents. This is the narrative of justice.
But hold on, that's only one side of the coin. To really understand the other side, we need to look at what's under the ground in Venezuela, because that's where the strategic stakes become, well, incredibly high. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing, doesn't it? What is the real driving force here? Is it justice, or is it the immense, almost unbelievable value of Venezuela's natural resources? Here's a single fact that changes the entire conversation. Venezuela isn't just another country in crisis. It's a potential energy superpower. Why? Because it is sitting on the largest proven oil reserves on the entire planet. Just let that number sink in for a second. 300 billion barrels. It's almost impossible to imagine that amount of wealth and energy potential just sitting there. And to put that number into perspective, because it's just so huge, think about who you consider the king of oil. Saudi Arabia, right? Well, look at this. Venezuela has more proven reserves than Saudi Arabia. That fact alone makes it a potential global game changer. But you know what? It doesn't even stop with the oil. As if that wasn't enough, Venezuela also has vast reserves of other critical resources. We're talking natural gas, tons of gold, iron ore, and even those rare minerals that are absolutely essential for all of our modern technology. In today's uncertain world, these aren't just commodities. They are deeply strategic assets.
So this leaves us with these two completely competing narratives. Is this an operation to hold a leader accountable for their actions, or is it a strategic move to secure access to that incredible treasure trove of resources? All right, let's put these two arguments side by side. The accountability narrative says this is all about enforcing international law, about sending a clear message to autocrats everywhere that no leader is above the law. But the extraction narrative, it points to other things. The timing, for one, happening to coincide with global energy shortages. It also points to the chance to bring all that Venezuelan oil back to the market under new management, and maybe, just maybe, sideline competitors like Russia and China in the process. You know, to really get the full context here, we have to zoom out and look at history. Critics of the intervention argue that what's happening in Venezuela fits a pattern that has played out time and time again in resource-rich nations. And just think about it for a second. From the oil fields of Iraq and Libya to interventions in Iran and all across Latin America, a pattern really does seem to emerge where geopolitics and natural resources are often at the very heart of the conflict. In fact, some argue there's a kind of intervention playbook that often follows these three steps. It starts with a period of political instability, that's followed by intense economic pressure, think sanctions, and then it all culminates in some form of foreign intervention, which is often justified on humanitarian or legal grounds. And this brings us back to that key concept of strategic resources. This isn't just about money. We're talking about assets that are absolutely vital for national economies and global security, especially in a world with fragile supply chains and rising tensions between global powers. So after laying out these two very different narratives, the official story and the one focused on resources, the final question really is for you. How do you interpret all of this? This quote really seems to capture the core of the debate, doesn't it? When a resource as critical as oil is part of the equation, politics alone might not explain the full picture. The game becomes strategic. So we'll leave you with this final, challenging question. At the end of the day,
Is this a story of liberation? Or is it a story of exploitation? As with so many global events, the real truth probably lies somewhere in that messy, complex space right between justice and oil.